In this session, we'll learn how to enter a credit adjustment to credit the customer balance for different reasons. So from the transaction menu, go to Accounts Receivable module, then select the credit adjustment option. The credit adjustment in Aria can be entered in batch for several reasons, as we'll discuss in a few minutes. First thing, today's date will show up by default. You can accept that date, or you can change to the required date that you would like to credit the customers on that specific date. Tap Enter key to confirm the date. Then enter the tape count, which reflects the total number of credit adjustment on this batch, and the tape total, which will represent the total dollar amount of that credit adjustment batch. Click New to start adding a new credit adjustment. First thing, you have to select the customer account either by simply type it in, or you can select from the customer master list by locating your account code. Then tap Enter to select. The credit adjustment can be entered for various reasons, like advertising allowance, damaged merchandise discount allowance, markdown allowance, or credit back for any other credit reason. You can at any time add to this list by simply clicking Add New Code, which will take you to the company code screen where you can add additional credit adjustment reason. So I'm gonna choose here advertising allowance. If this customer is factored, the factored code will show up by default, otherwise it will be empty. Here you can put the amount, the dollar amount for that specific transaction. If your system is set up to use sales rep, the system will automatically pop up with a screen where it will show you the invoice number and the sales rep associated, so you can credit back the sales rep as well in case if that customer has a valid invoice numbers. If you don't want to credit the sales rep for this credit adjustment, you can cancel or ignore this step by clicking cancel. Otherwise, the related invoice selected will be credited for the corresponding sales rep. Reference field is very useful to refer or to reference this charge or this credit to a specific invoice number, for example, to a specific transaction number, and so on. The description will show by default, as you can see, the adjustment reason type selected. Then you can click New to repeat or to enter a new transaction either for the same customer or for a different customer that will be credited within the same batch. Same thing, you can select from the drop down a classification or a transaction reason for that specific transaction. Then you put the amount of that specific line, and the same like before, you can choose a specific invoice number where the related sales rep will be credited back will be charged back for that amount, or you can bypass this option if you click cancel. Reference, as we discussed in the previous session, the previous transaction, this will represent a more detailed information to which this credit adjustment will be related to, like an invoice number or a specific transaction number. Once you are done entering all the transaction details related to that batch, click Save Modification button, and then the batch will be generated with all the transactions related. Now, to see the effects of the credit adjustment entered on the customer balance, go to Master Data, Customer Master, and type in the customer that you would like to inquire. Then go to Customer Financial icon, and now we will see under the Credit tab the two credit adjustments that we have just entered. As you can see, the transaction will be listed in details as well as the total will show up as open credit until we key off those credit adjustment against any other debits or invoices, as we'll see in later session. So in this session we have learned how to enter credit adjustment for different purposes like allowances, discounts, or damaged merchandise, and we saw what's the effects or the impact of the credit adjustment on the customer balance.